It's a Thursday Locked On Lions. I'm going to actually defend Jamison Williams, most improved player at minicamp, a kicker off, and the Vikings do it again. All of that today on Locked On Lions.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It is Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network on a Thursday, June 8th and a Friday, June 9th. Thanks for checking us out wherever you get your podcasts, watching for free and subscribing on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Shout out to our everydayers who are out there each and every day watching and listening to Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Matt Dery with you, as I said, on this Thursday, June 8th, final day of mandatory minicamp. We got some highlights from minicamp today. Dan Campbell had a really cool answer today when asked by, I believe it was Colton Pouncey from The Athletic, about who are the most improved players that have come in from last season to this season. He, of course, is very honest. We'll get into that coming up momentarily as well. Dan Campbell, at the start of his press conference today, grilled 3 straight questions about Jamison Williams. Can we please put a stop to this? I'm going to get to that coming up. Vikings do it again. Another player, another veteran player, another Pro Bowler released. We got kicker talk. We got Stephen A. giving the Lions some dap. All of that today right here on Locked On Lions. Find us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter. The Matt Dery Facebook fan page where we post the podcast every day. And again, shout out to all of you watching and participating on the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. One more thing, Locked On Lions today. It's brought to you by Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL. And when you enter promo code LockedOnNFL, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Great to have Birddogs back with us here on Locked On Lions. All right, so minicamp wrapped up today. 3 days of mandatory minicamp. Everybody's fine. I don't know about you guys, but I know that on the East Coast, New York, Philly, and others, there's all this smog. The air is really, I feel like I'm coughing and my throat hurts from just this dry air and these wildfires in Canada and all of this stuff. So just be careful if you're out there today. I know the Tiger game got postponed yesterday due to the air quality. Air quality right now, I guess, in Detroit is really bad. So just be careful out there. All right, but minicamp was outside today. Lions did their thing. And Dan Campbell spoke before minicamp today. By the way, Jamison Williams had a couple of drops. It seems like with JMO, he's just the story every day. It seems like that every single day. And I'll explain in a second more about yet another reporter grilling Dan Campbell about Jamison Williams. It's almost like everybody knows that the Lions are a positive story. There really isn't any controversy. So when in doubt, let's just keep asking the quarterback. Let's just keep asking the head coach about JMO. Almost like he's the kid with the dunce cap on in the corner of the room, and we better constantly be asking questions about it. Whatever. But Dan Campbell was asked a very good question today about most improved players. And look, the Lions don't have a lot to go on since last season, but mandatory minicamp, I get it, is the time to kind of discuss, hey, what guys have stepped up lately? What guys have come into camp, minicamp, in shape, taking things seriously? Take a listen to Dan Campbell earlier today talking about which players he thinks could be the most improved so far this offseason. Take a listen to this, courtesy of DetroitLions.com.
Is anybody that comes to mind?
That's a tricky one because there again with where we're at, what we're doing, not having pad style of practice. But there's a few guys. We talked about Barnes yesterday. Barnes has had a good spring. Nate Sudfeld's had a good spring. And there's a ton of guys that are doing exactly what that saying steady as they come. I mean, you'd be shocked if they had a type stuff. We talked about Iffy. Iffy is showing up a little bit. I'll tell you what, for a rookie, Starling showing up a little bit. He made a play yesterday, but he's made a few plays now. He's showing, but there again, we're not in a real camp. So, but yeah, there's a number of guys doing a good job.
All right, so there's Dan Campbell, courtesy of DetroitLions.com. Interesting list of players that he named from Colton Pouncey's question about who he feels are the most improved players so far. Now, again, this is June 8th, all right? This doesn't mean that somebody's starting September 7th when the Lions go to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. But you heard some of the names. Let me respond. Number one, Derek Barnes. The Lions love what Derek Barnes has brought to the table so far. He's been starting in OTAs, mini camps. He's been with the first team. The linebacker entering his third season is making a big push. I don't know if this will translate on the field. I'm not still sure. The Lions know what his best role is, whether it's an edge guy, whether it's off the ball, whatever it is. But Derek Barnes has earned the respect of the coaches. That was the first name Dan Campbell brought up. And what would be so nice is if the Lions had a lot of depth at linebacker to where they had guys flying around the football. You guys have been listening to me do this show since 2016. I complain all the time about the linebacker play. And how it's not been good enough, especially covering tight ends and especially against running game, the other team's running game. Jared Davis was so bad here. He was terrible. They've had some bad linebackers here. But now, Anzalone's gotten better. Here comes Derek Barnes. You draft Jack Campbell in the first round. Malcolm Rodriguez had a really fine rookie season last year for a guy that was a late round pick. So Derek Barnes was number one. I thought that was interesting. He also mentioned Nate Sudfeld. Here we sit on June the 8th, and the Lions still have not signed another veteran quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is not here. And if the season were to start today, and I know I hate that phrase, but I'm using it, Nate Sudfeld would be the first guy out there after Jared Goff got hurt. Or if Jared Goff, something happened to him, knock on wood. Right? He's had a good camp, Dan Campbell said. Seems like he's got a decent rapport with Jameson Williams too. So Nate Sudfeld stepping up, whatever that means, whatever it means. Let's just hope he doesn't have to play in a real game. No offense, Nate. Ifeatu Melifonwu, he mentioned St. Brown, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's the leader of this team. Amon-Ra is just the man. He mentioned him today. I thought that was kind of cool. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets better every day. He's that good. He mentioned Ife Melifonwu, who's had to make the transition to safety. Remember when he was at Syracuse, many people thought he's probably going to be a safety at the next level. You still hear that about Jeff Okudah, now of the Falcons. But he said Melifonwu has stepped up and done some nice things. They're going to need as many defensive backs as possible. And as Dan Campbell said today to Justin Rogers from the Detroit News, if they need to put Melifonwu back at corner, if they're having a shortage of cornerbacks in a game, he can play there. So that's pretty good that he is getting better. Starling Thomas, the rookie cornerback, is another guy that Dan Campbell mentioned. This secondary and the depth that's there right now is great. This is a passing league. Guys are going to get hurt. Last year there was a game, remember when Savion Smith had to start at safety because the Lions had all those injuries? When Elliott was hurt, and Moore was hurt, and Walker got hurt. The Lions have a ton of depth. Guy like Starling Thomas, a undrafted kid, getting an opportunity, making some plays. So that was kind of the list of players that he said were most improved. But the big one is Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes is doing everything in his power to make sure that the first-round pick, Jack Campbell, doesn't get on the field. I still don't say that's going to happen, but they're going to have to find a place somehow for Derek Barnes to be out there. So there you have it. Lions getting a little national love. We got a kicking competition. All of that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. We got to tell you about our friends at Birddogs. They make you look good. Khaki pants, khaki shorts that are comfortable, make you look good. And those stretch khaki shorts from Birddogs are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. They sent me some pants last year, these khakis, and I wore them all the time because they were comfortable, they fit well, and they look good. And oh, by the way, Birddogs shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. And let me tell you something, price is much better. Fit better than regular shorts. They're made of a stiff, that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton, not Birddogs. They fixed this problem by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but stretches so you can get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Birddogs uses anti-stink, sweat-wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. I told you before, they sent me these last year, and I really liked wearing them. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL and enter the promo code LockedOnNFL for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off, we promise you, thanks to our friends. Back with us again at Bird Dogs. Thursday episode, Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network. Hope everybody is doing well. All right, let me get this out of the way real fast. I made a promise to you earlier in the week right here on the show, and I think I've broken it like 3 times, but I'm really trying. So I'm not going to get into Jameson Williams and the gambling stuff. It's over. I'm not talking about it. Yesterday I referenced or maybe it was 2 days ago, I referenced a reporter, not a beat writer, who asked Jared Goff about Jameson Williams' likes on Instagram and Twitter about Lamar Jackson, to which I said, that's a stupid question. It happened months ago, and do you think Jared Goff can answer that? And basically Jared Goff laughed at the question and said, you guys bored? Today, at his press conference, Dan Campbell was asked by a certain free press troll, not Dave Burkett. You know who I'm talking about. Rhymes with Schmarlos. First, he asked him if he thinks Jameson Williams needs a mentor, like a Marvin Jones or something. Dan Campbell said all of our young players could use mentors. I'm all for it. Then he was asked about, do you have an open door policy? Can players come talk to you? Dan Campbell said, absolutely. We will hash things out. Come talk to me. Then he asked, well, can I follow up by saying, has Jameson come to talk to you? Closed door. To which Dan Campbell said, no, he hasn't. Make it stop, please. Like, I cannot wait. Week 7 can't come here fast enough so we can see Jameson Williams on the field, because I'm tired of the questions, tired of talking about him. All right, unless he does something silly and stupid again and immature, which he's done. But can we give this kid the benefit of the doubt? Can we see him on the field? What do you think Dan Campbell's going to say? Yep, he hasn't come and seen me and he's a real jerk. Of course not. Just, I think, enough with the JMO questions. So let's get that out of the way. Kicker competition. Yes, today at the end of practice, and it was windy down at 222 Rodwood Drive. Riley Patterson and John Parker Romo went at it again. It is obvious what the Lions are doing. Michael Badgley is the number 1 kicker. It's not even close. But what the Lions are trying to determine for training camp is who's going to be number 2 and compete with Badgley. Badgley hasn't kicked at all in front of the media or anything. It has been a 2-horse race to determine who the B kicker is going to be. Riley Patterson, the former Lion, back from Jacksonville, and John Parker Romo, big leg from the XFL. Today, Patterson went 6 out of 10 in the competition at the end of practice. John Parker Romo went 7 out of 10, including hitting from 53 and 55 yards out. JPR, booming leg. Now, again, he missed 3 field goals, so did Patterson. But if you had to determine what the Lions might be thinking before training camp, I think Romo may have. Now, again, I don't know if this is for sure, but the Lions spent a conditional, like, future 7th-round pick on Riley Patterson. But Romo's been the better kicker so far in these mini camps, OTAs. Again, these guys will continue to compete. They've got roster spots for both of them right now. But it is certainly interesting. And again, Badgley's issue isn't accuracy. It's also length This kid, John Parker Romo, can kick it from 50. Question's going to be, will he be accurate enough in games to hit the 35-yarder, the 42-yarder? That is still a question mark. But that was today's kicking competition. Lions also got some national love on First Take this morning. I didn't see the clip, or I saw the clip, but I didn't play it for you. I won't play it for you because we don't have time today. But Stephen A. Smith, Keyshawn Johnson, and Chris Mad Dog Russo were talking about who could push the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. What team? And Screamin' A said the Detroit Lions. He talked about the top 5 passing offense. He talked about the top 10 offense overall. He did mention that the defense was 28th in the league, but he was dropping Josh Reynolds' name and other people's names. Stephen A. Smith talking about a dark horse to push the Eagles in the NFC, none other than the Lions. Stephen A. carries a lot of clout and has a lot of cachet. He does. People listen to what Stephen A. Smith has to say. He's powerful. So we know in the NFC you got Philly, you got San Francisco, then it's wide open. But to hear a national guy like Stephen A. Smith compliment the Lions was kind of cool today. So there you have it. Another national talking head, if you want to say, on the Lion bandwagon. Gave Jared Goff some good love as well. All right, coming up next, the Vikings, man. They're just cleaning house. Cleaning house. We'll tell you about that coming up next. First, though, this episode is brought to you by Marg's Sparkling Margaritas. I've been telling you about them all week. You guys know I love a good drink after work. It's summertime. You want to go sit outside. Forget the White Claws and the High Noons. You got to try a new replacement, and that is Marg's, M-A-R-G-S. Their refreshing, ready-to-drink sparkling margaritas have officially become my go-to cocktail. Crafted with real Blanco tequila, Marg's are clean, crisp, genuinely taste so good. They are really good. 5 unique flavors, so there's something for everybody to enjoy. I love them most kicking back after work. You come home, it's hot outside, you're sitting outside. Marg's going to be great, too, for packing your cooler for backyard barbecues this summer, boat trips, days at the beach. They're the drink of summer, no question about it. Visit Sip Margs, SIPMargs.com now to find a retailer near you. That's SIPMARGS.com to find a retailer near you. Must be 21 and over to enjoy. Cheers. Please drink responsibly. So everybody's picking the Lions to win the division, right? Vegas has the Lions winning the division. I certainly think the Lions are going to win the division. The team that won the division last year, the Minnesota Vikings. Let's remember something. 13-4 record last year. 13-4. Imagine what this town would do with 13-4. 8-1 at home in the Dome for Minnesota last year. Now I know about the close wins. I know about the negative point differential, -3. I get it. Listen to me for a second. They went 8-4 against the NFC. They went 4-2 in the division. And they won the division. Something your team, our team, the Lions, have not done since, of course, 1993. Lions, by the way, went 5-1 in the division last year and split with the Vikings, better than Minnesota. Since then, Zadarius Smith, gone. Eric Kendricks, gone. Adam Thielen, gone. Today, Danielle Hunter on the trading block. Today, Dalvin Cook released. They're going with Alexander Madison. Now, some of you are going to go, well, Cook had a pretty bulky contract, 5 years, $63 million. He was only in year 3. They want to get out from underneath that. They've been in salary cap hell. I get that. But Dalvin Cook, when healthy, is dangerous. He's a really good football player. Alexander Madison is no slouch. But don't tell me this is not a downgrade at running back. And the way the Vikings play with their play-action game and Kirk Cousins utilizing Hawkinson and the tight ends, you need Dalvin Cook. The Vikings released him. They got nothing for him. So, again, it looks like, it smells like, it feels like a rebuild in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins could be gone after this year. I mean, you get that sense. Kevin O'Connell probably would never admit it, but that's another veteran player. You have to have veterans on your team. You can't just go young and expect to win. Minnesota still has good players. Don't get me wrong. They don't suck. They still got Justin Jefferson. Still got Hawkinson. But Tomlinson off that D line. Danielle Hunter going to be traded. It's Darius Smith gone. Kendrick's gone. Harrison Smith. I mean, they've got a lot of guys out and replacing with younger players. So, again, good news for Lions fans. Looking at this division, a lot of question marks everywhere else. Thanks for checking us out wherever you get your podcasts on this Thursday edition of Locked On Lions. See everybody.